The nations of Italy, Hungary, and Poland are forming a brand new Patriot Alliance to make Europe great again. In this video, we're going to take a look at the meeting that was held in Budapest just the other day that's aligning the patriot forces in these great nations, how internationalizing the nationalist right is the wave of the future, and how that realignment promises to reawaken a European civilizational renaissance that promises to absolutely make Europe great again. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be with you as always. We're here to give you each and every single day conservative hope in the midst of these trying and turbulent times, helping you think better so you can feel better and provide for you a patriot path to freedom. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Another reason you should subscribe, we got some exciting news coming your way on Monday. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to check with us early next week for a big announcement that's coming. I'm just going to whet your appetite here. I'm not going to say any more, but I promise you're going to love it. Before we begin, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's BioTrust and their awesome immune system supporting product, Ageless Body. With our rapid advances in science over the years, you know, there's much more powerful and effective ways to boost your immune system than just taking mega doses of vitamin C. Our sponsors over at BioTrust, they have combined 4 of the world's best immune supporting powerhouses along with that mega dose of vitamin C into their #1 immunity support product, Ageless Body. Simply put, Ageless Body provides you 5 of the most powerful immune support ingredients available. And best of all, if you click on that link below today, you're going to get Ageless Body at their lowest price ever, 51% off with free US shipping to boot. So do not wait. Click on that link or go to agewithsteveturley.com. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Some exciting new nationalist populist alliance is being formed in Europe between Hungary, Poland, and Italy. Euronews is reporting that Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban is officially joining forces with Poland's Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki and Italy's Matteo Salvini to form a new right-wing political alliance at the European level. They met together just the other day on Thursday in Budapest to introduce the alliance, vowing to create what they're calling a European Renaissance based on Christian values, or in Matteo Salvini's words, they want to make Europe great again. Isn't that wonderful? Specifically, the 3 leaders will be creating a new political group inside the European Parliament using their combined 64 seats that their parties hold together in Brussels. Right now, 28 seats are held by Matteo Salvini's Lega Party, 24 are held by Poland's Law and Justice Party, and 12 are held by Hungary's Fidesz Party. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with how the European Parliament works, this is the parliament, okay, that represents the European Union, right? That meets in Brussels. And back in 2019, the nationalist populist parties made some huge gains in their last European Parliament elections back in May of that year. And what the various parties that represent their respective countries do is they tend to form alliances together in order to create unified voting blocks. And the single largest voting bloc in the European Parliament today is what's known as the European People's Party. It's EPP. It's a coalition of parties, right? Keep in mind, it's a transnational party that is a coalition of a number of different national parties. It was formed back in 1999. It's considered really the single most influential and powerful party bloc in the European Parliament. And by far, it's the largest party in what's called the European Commission. Again, it's, if you're not familiar with all the lingo, the European Commission is the central organization that's charged with all the day-to-day management over the business of the European Union, right? So they deal with, they propose they propose and vote on legislation, they make decisions, they uphold EU treaties, all that kind of stuff. Now, Hungary's Viktor Orban and his Fidesz party was for years part of the EPP, but the coalition grew increasingly uncomfortable with his nationalist populist agenda. The EPP would be akin to rhinos in American politics, right? They're center-right, but they're thoroughly globalist, they're thoroughly corporatist, they're totally pro-EU, and the feeling was mutual. Orban said, see ya. All right, so he left the EPP, and now he's forming a bloc with Mateusz Morawiecki's Law and Justice Party, as well as Matteo Salvini's Lega Party. And this has been a long dream for Matteo Salvini. Back in 2019, Salvini met with leaders of the Law and Justice Party in Warsaw. And at the meeting, Salvini declared the beginning of what he called a new Polish-Italian axis that would effectively replace the current axis of Paris and Berlin, Macron and Merkel, with the goal of reawakening what he called a European spring across the continent, where nation after nation votes to protect their cultures, customs, and traditions that together constitute a uniquely European civilization. Prior to that, Salvini met and held news conferences with France's Marine Le Pen in discussions of forming alliances with her. And Salvini also met previously with Viktor Orban back in 2019 when they met in Budapest. It was actually the second official meeting they had over the prior few months. Orban had originally come to Milan to discuss mutual immigration enforcement policies, among other things. But in Budapest in 2019, these two nationalist populist leaders met to discuss the prospects for what would be possibly the single largest coalition in the European Parliament. And it would be a coalition among all the nationalist populist parties, specifically to make Europe great again by revitalizing Christian civilization. Now, what we're seeing here really is nothing less than what scholars are calling the internationalization of the nationalist right, right? We've talked about this before in a number of other videos, the internationalizing of the nationalist right. So while the various nationalist right parties across Europe have all focused primarily on their own local and national elections, they all recognize that transnational politics are in many ways just as important, if not in the case of the European Union, even more important. And this is because the ultimate adversary in all of this is globalization, and globalization by definition is transnational. And so virtually all of the national right parties and organizations out there, they've all begun to mobilize beyond just the national level, creating networks with like-minded parties and organizations in other countries. Now, so far we've seen organizations like the European Alliance for Freedom. That's emerged within the European Parliament. They're made up of Marine Le Pen's National Rally. They're made up of the Dutch Freedom Party. Many of you know probably from the work of Geert Wilders. They're made up of the Belgian Vlaams Belang Party, the Austrian Freedom Party, the Sweden Democrats. So they're very, very prominent. In addition, you've also got what's called the Alliance of European Nationalist Movements. That was founded back in 2009. That brought together the Jobbik Party of Hungary, the Belgian National Front, the Finnish National Party, many, many others. And so what Salvini and Orban and Morawiecki are trying to do here is basically unite these various organizations under a single organizational umbrella as an extension of this propensity among nationalist populist parties to internationalize the nationalist right to fight globalism. Now, a major misconception that the media has over all of this is that they believe that the nationalist populists are largely divided. So apart from their hatred of the EU, they have very little to unite them. I read this in report after report all the time. Can these far-right extremists ever overcome their divisions? Blah, blah, blah. Will they be able to resolve their differences? Blah, blah, blah. All right? This seems to be far more indicative of the left-wing liberal assertion that nationalism divides rather than unites. But what these left-wing activists disguised as journalists overlook is that scholars of the nationalist right actually see them as inordinately united, especially around something these scholars call frames. Frames is a technical term that involves clearly defined problems, goals, and solutions that different nations or national groups share in common. And so in such a way, frames form the basis of collective identities, including transnational and international ones, and thus provide the precondition for cooperation. In other words, it's not enough to be united solely by what you're all against or opposed to. That certainly can be very unifying. You know, the enemy, my enemy is my friend, and all that kind of stuff. But it won't unify in terms of a common vision among various parties spread across the continent long term. To do that, you need positive frames, frames that define what you're for, not just what you're against. And what we're finding, particularly with this meeting between the nationalist forces in Hungary, Poland, and Italy, is that three dominant issues are making up the frames for creating cross-national links between the individual nationalist patriotic parties. And if you're regular to this channel, you already know what those three dominant issues are, right? Border security, economic security, and of course, cultural security. So studies of nationalist right pamphlets, websites, party newspapers, magazines, and the like have identified common issues that appear among virtually all nationalist right discourse. All of the rhetoric exemplifies an unwavering commitment to secure the borders of each member nation, as well as the continent as a whole. All are radically opposed to the globalizing processes that are replacing local economies, industries, and businesses with transnational corporations that have absolutely no loyalty to land or culture or custom and are committed to instituting forms of economic nationalism. All of them are. And they all stand steadfastly opposed to multicultural assault on their nations, their cultures, their customs, and traditions as they work together to support one another in the revitalization of their unique cultures, customs, and traditions, and particularly pro-family, pro-life policies to reverse the massive fertility deficit that's threatening the future of European civilization. And so in many respects, the numerous policies and positions characteristic of the various nationalist, populist, patriotic, right-wing parties throughout Europe are actually becoming united. They want a united Europe, right? What they call a pan-European unity. But this unity must be based on a diversity of distinct national identities rooted in a common classical and Christian civilization. They completely and unapologetically reject the contemporary technocracy of the European Union superstate. They see globalization as an enemy common to all nations, cultures, and traditions, and they are banding together as one in a common fight against these dehumanizing dynamics and tendencies, while at the same time encouraging and supporting one another in fostering a European spring, a continent-wide renaissance of culture, custom, and tradition for generations to come. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, subscribe to my channel. Definitely click on the link and check out some of our awesome merch. And you definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded it on how the state of Texas is cracking down on big tech censorship, all as NBC News' Lester Holt admits their left-wing bias. You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless. A glorious and beautiful Easter weekend to all of you.